So welcome to the winter series. You join me in Cambridgeshire and we're on Fenland Fisheries. Now there's actually 3 lakes on the complex at Fenland. We've decided to come on to Vermuyden Lake in the fact that it does a few winter bites, so we're told. Tactics wise, I've basically gone in with little mesh bags. I've got some switch crumb, just crumbed up some switch. I've got some maize in there, a little bit of hemp, and then I've just boosted that up with some intense booster. Rig wise, I've gone in with my trusty 360 rigs. I've just got some little 12 millers on there, and one's on a PB and one's on a pink peril. Now there's around about 200 carp in this lake, so there's plenty of fish in here to go at, but with it being winter, they're probably all huddled up together, and any signs of carp whatsoever, you're going to have to act on it. So I've currently got the rods out, as you can see at the moment. I've decided to go and swim too. Now when I got here, I walked round 3 or 4 times and couldn't find anything, to be honest. Now I've got a friend that's fished this place before, and he said to me, this is the swim that you want to be in, because there's an old sort of lily pad bed out in front of me, and he said that got him a few bites in the winters past, sort of thing. So with nothing else really to go on, that's why I've decided to jump into peg 2. I've got 2 rods out. There's a 2-rod rule on the lake, so I've put 2 rods out at the moment, and I've decided to move one of them. I've actually got a reed bed down to my right hand corner. Apparently there used to be an aerator there, or they put an aerator there in the summer months, and obviously where you put the aerator, it will just dig out a lot of the gravel from underneath, and there's a fairly substantial deeper water in that bay. Now out in front of the swim, it's actually in between 2 swims, which is where the old lily pads are, and that's what I've decided to fish up to. I've not had any sort of liners or any indications as of yet, but out in the open water, I've just seen a fish show. So I've quickly reeled in one of the rods and just chucked it on top of there, and every now and then the left-hand rod keeps knocking round. So I'm hopeful that that rod may burst into life soon. So that is the state of play at the moment. Now the guy that's going to be fishing with me on this session is Jaye Carpmail, and he ain't here because he's got a puncher, so he's having a nightmare at the moment, but he's hopeful that he's going to turn up just before darkness. So that's the state of play at the moment. I'm just going to sit back, watch the water, and hope that something happens sometime soon. Right, well, only a couple of hours into the session, and a rod that I've moved has gone, luckily enough. And looks like a mirror. Yeah, it is a mirror. I just see a few tiny little bubbles popping by a branch that's actually sticking up out of the water. Yeah, chuck this over that way. We've got the first one about to be netted. Decided to wake up under the rod tip. Nice. One bites the dust on the PB. Sorted. Sweet. Just ready to rock and roll again. So I'm now in a little bit of a dilemma, because the swim I actually caught that fish from is going to be the swim that Jay's going to move into. So yeah, I don't know what to do. Well, I'll just let Jay go in there, I suppose, and just fish out in front of me. But just goes to show them tiny little signs, you know, keeping your eyes peeled is a must in the winter. I just see that tiny little show and then a few pinprick bubbles around by this twig. And yeah, it's put a fish on the bank. Only a couple of hours into the session, so yeah, happy days. Going to get this straight back out onto the spot. Oh, that went down better. There we go then. It might not be the prettiest carp in the world, but he's a carp all the same, and a winter carp at that. My hands are absolutely freezing, but yeah, caught on a 12mm PB pop-up on a 360 rig, a little mesh bag of that loveliness that I've made up, chucked a few bubblers, and this is the result. And we're only, what, 2-3 hours into the session, so fingers crossed there's plenty more of these to come. Oh, don't go down there. Right. There we go then. Second fish up to the session. It's only been about half an hour since I put that last one back, and the pink peril rod's gone this time round, which is nice. And yeah, same tactic, although this one is on a little mesh bag of beta stim pellets this time, so I thought I'd change it up a little bit. Got ourselves an angry little common here. And this is the one that was chucked out towards that old lily pads that were out there. So he looks about ready for the net. Little pink one hanging out his chops. Nice. Fish number 2. Woohoo! See the pink peril hanging out of his chops just there, so I'll just get him unhooked and send him on his way. Nice to be getting winter bites, that's for sure. Wicked. And there we go. That's the rig there, look. 360 rig, little pink peril doing the do. Nice. Right, let's get our rod sorted. Oh wow, good morning, and what a Baltic morning it is as well. It's absolutely freezing out here, but I did manage to get lucky last night. In the dead of night I managed to catch a ghostie, which It was that cold we just put it back. Criminal, I know. We're meant to be filming and I'm putting fish back, so it's not ideal, but literally I couldn't feel my hands or anything last night. Yeah, you know, total wimp, in other words. But other than that, nothing else has happened, unfortunately. I had a few fish last night during the night, which I got a feeling might have been pike. I got up really early this morning. Everything's frosty, loads of stuff is frozen, you know, the rods are all iced over. I'm quite surprised the lake didn't freeze, to be honest. And there was a load of pike sort of rolling around in the morning gloom. So whether them fish that I heard last night were pike or not, you never really know, sort of thing. But Jay's here now, so he managed to get here just on darkness last night after having a total nightmare, obviously, with his van. But we'll catch up with Jay, who's set up to the left-hand side of me, in a minute. But I'm going to have a rechuck, I think. The fish actually came on a little mesh bag of beta stim pellets with a 12mm PB pop-up. So I'm going to have a refresh in a moment, get both rods in, put fresh hook baits on and a couple of fresh bags and chuck them back out into the pond. It would be nice to see something out there to chuck to be honest. That fish that I caught last night, the ghosty, he came just, you know, from a bit of a pub chuck really. I sort of just chucked it out in the gloom because I was fishing Jay's swim when I had that mirror yesterday. That very first bite actually come from the swim that Jay set up in. So I reeled that one in so Jay could obviously get his rods out and just, like I say, pub chucked it out into the middle of the pond, and then it went with that ghosty. So I'm not really fishing that effective at the moment, but I am fishing effective on the right hand rod. It's 10 3/4 wraps out towards that dying lily pads that are out over there that I'm told about anyway. I've not actually picked up any lily pads at all when I've had a rechuck or that common that I had yesterday. So there's obviously these tiny little windows that you get, which you always get in the winter, of feeding time. And yesterday that sort of come just as it started getting into dusk really. So whether we have a feeding spell in the morning or not, it hasn't come just yet, but you never know. If I see anything, little fizzes, this, that and the other, I'm gonna chuck straight on top of them straight away. But yeah, it's looking very bleak out there at the moment, and it's very, very cold as well.
Morning. Didn't get here till late last night. I had a bit of a nightmare with the van, so I had a puncture and couldn't get the wheel off. Anyway, cut a long story short, managed to get here in the end. Just gone dark, just got the rods out, fished an area just behind me, sort of 10 wraps out. Mozza had a fish from there earlier on in the afternoon, and obviously moved his rod back over into his water, and I give it a go. So didn't have anything last night. I've reset the rods this morning because obviously it was dark last night. I was happy, but I like to see the sort of area that I'm fishing anyway. So I got up this morning, rechucked the rods. I'm happy with the rods now. Seen a little bit of fizzing in the area, not really a lot. I heard a few fish crash in the night, sort of in the back corners, out of reach to us really, or not in our water. So if someone else turns up, it'd be a bit naughty to fish that area. So like I say, I've reset the rods. Just going to roam bags about on one rod, and then the other rod I've set a little trap, put a bit of bait down. I've got a milky malt pop up on a Ronnie rig, and then just spotted out some S7 and corn. Hopefully that rod will do a bite. If not, I'm going to rely on my bag rod, just roaming it about, pellets in the bag, and just see if I can nick a bite.
Well, it's got to about midday now and not a lot has happened, to be honest. One thing I didn't realise from this lake is that there's only 4 people allowed on at one time. So there's been a couple of anglers that have just turned up. They've come round, had a word, sort of seeing where we're fishing, etc. And they wanted to go over on the spit that's behind me. So they're fishing a completely separate part of the lake, basically. So what I'm going to do is have a little bit of a change up, i.e. nothing different in what I'm going to be doing sort of rig wise, etc., but where I'm going to be fishing. There's a row of reeds on the opposite bank, and there's a tree dead centre of them reeds which is really deep underneath. I've been round there with my landing net pole and put it down. There's real good depth of water underneath there, and there's a really solid spot underneath that tree. So what I'm going to do now is chuck me lead over, walk around, grab hold of me lead, and then place it underneath that tree with the landing net handle. So the reason why I sort of said, you know, obviously with the 2 anglers being here, it wouldn't have been fair for me to fish over there if 2 other anglers or any other anglers were going to turn up. So now they're in place and they're happy where they are. It's not going to hinder my fishing or their fishing at all, and that is one of the reasons why I'm going to do it now. So I'm going to get this over on. This is going to be the hard bit, obviously. The bit that could go wrong is getting it onto the bank opposite. Obviously we could go round there and fish maybe, but you know, it's nice to keep that bank quiet. So we're going to stick with fishing on this bank. Going to chuck over there now, and it'll be nice and quiet over there once the rig's in place. If I can get it in place, that is. Please don't let this be a disaster. It's looking pretty. Yeah, that's good to me. Well, that's nicely over them reeds. So I'm going to walk round there now, slacken that clutch off. Jay, you all right to give us a hand once I'm round there, dude? Yeah? Sound. Right, so I'm going to just slacken that off, go and find me lead now that's on that bank, and then go and get the rig in position. Right, well, I couldn't have actually placed that any better. It's landed dead centre of the path. It's not in any of the trees or anything. I do need Jay to reel that in a bit though. Jay's just there, just reeling. Stop. Right, let's drop this down. So the actual spot is just underneath these overhanging trees here. A place really that you couldn't cast there, you know, it'd be impossible to cast there from any side of the bank really, and it's literally right underneath these trees. Feed this line underneath the branches via the landing net pole. Feed that underneath that branch there. Right, now, that's it, right. So perfectly underneath this tree now. Boom. Perfecting, mate. So all I'm going to do is just put a couple of handfuls of pellet right on top of it. That's that. Oh, nearly fell in. Perfect. So there's only a tiny bit down there really. Like I say, that little mesh bag with a 10 miller on it. A couple of handfuls of pellets. Real fine crumb pellet. Beat stim pellets, and so a couple of handfuls of hemp and a little bit of maize, and that is fishing now where no man has been before. Come on, a big un.
So it's the end of the day. It's been a long day, been looking about, trying to spot some fish, not seeing anything move. So there's a bit of ice on the bucket lids and stuff, so it's really snapped now, real gone cold. Perhaps should have tried a few little different things today. but I persevered and stuck it out with flinging the bags about a bit. See what the night brings. Hopefully the fish will move in. It seems to be really slow, so hopefully tonight we'll actually, there's a fish just rolled behind you, Mozza. Oh, actually I think that was a pike. So we've seen pike in the margins pretty much all weekend chasing the small fry about, but quite a few. I had a savage liner earlier, definitely a pike. I mean, it picked the line up, the rod sort of arced round and off the angle from where my actual rig was, so it's definitely a pike through the margins. Luckily it didn't cut me off, but reflung that rod out, so it's back on the money for the night. Hopefully the fish will move in. Like I say, there's plenty of decent fish in here. It'd be nice. I mean, obviously the cold's really making it a struggle, but say if the luck comes in, hopefully we'll catch a fish or two. Better fish or not?
I don't know. Not too sure.
I think I just see a tail there. Better one.
He's a better one.
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it? Baltic is right underneath
Yes,
us.
because of the deep margins, isn't it?
So, yeah, the old pink peril has done the damage again. We've got ourselves a better looking, better size mirror than the one that I had yesterday. And they definitely fight well. Right, there we go. Come on, pig. Yes, nice. Come on, the winter pig. I'll just be careful to that 360 rigger.
It's definitely a better one though,
Yeah,
mate.
he'll do. Right, we'll leave him in the net, have our curry, and then hold him up.
Well done, mate.
Cheers, my dears. Nice! Well, how's about that for a winter result? Absolutely buzzing with him. I was a little bit concerned by putting obviously them two fish that I've had back without filming them properly, because I just thought, you know, we're going to get a fair few bites here, but you know, with it being so bitterly cold today, a totally different contrast from yesterday. It's not the fishing on the head, but it's finally come together with this absolute mega carp. 19 pound 4 ounce he went, caught on the ever thankful pink peril, a little bag of the beta stim pellets, and this is an absolute winter result in my eyes. Proper buzzing with him, epic. Yes! What a beast. Mwah. So good morning, a very brisk morning again, not as cold as yesterday morning though. Said a lot of mornings then. Yesterday was obviously ice all on the rods and on the ground, but this morning it got warm at about 1 o'clock in the morning last night, and I thought another bite might happen. Unfortunately though, that hasn't happened, but I am so relieved to have had that bite last night from that real old sort of scaly fish that we had. I mean, his fins were withered and yeah, he was a lovely, lovely carp and a right result, you know, in winter time. Well, his first session of 2019, and yeah, it's been a good one for me. Unfortunately for Jay, it's not been too great. He's suffering with a stinking cold at the moment, so he's not feeling too great. I suppose that's part of winter fishing. I suppose you're going to get the odd cold come along here and there. I'm really surprised that the old snag rod hasn't gone this morning, with it being a couple of degrees warmer than what it was yesterday. I thought, you know, this morning would be the time that that rod would go, but unfortunately that hasn't happened. It seems like them dying lily pads, that seems to be the area that, if I was to come back here, is one I'd definitely fish without a doubt. I'd probably fish it maybe from that side. I'm not too sure. Perhaps the line angle you're getting from this part of the bank is probably a lot better than what it would be fishing right on top of them dying lily pads over in the swims in the car park there. But all in all, this is a mega winter water venue. So for any of you guys, you know, wanting to get out, get a couple of bites in the winter, a place like this, absolutely perfect. You know, Vermuyden's got a lot of fishing, and that's what you're looking for a winter venue. So yeah, that about rounds up our session. So unless anything happens in the next, you know, sort of hour or two as we're packing away, that's it. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Or am I? It's so bloody cold, I don't think I am.